What really happens inside a coffee bean? Have you ever looked at a coffee bean and wondered what actually happens to it when it's roasted? That little brown bean you put into your grinder didn't start out brown at all. It started as a green coffee bean. And during roasting, it goes through an incredible transformation involving heat, moisture, pressure, chemistry, and a lot of skill on the part of the coffee roaster. I'm Rick with the Caffeinated Wanderer, and after spending more than 3 decades around coffee, I still find what happens inside that little bean fascinating. So grab a cup of coffee and let's take a look at its hidden journey. It starts with the green bean. Before roasting, coffee beans are green and typically contain about 10 to 12% moisture. Inside that bean are carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, organic acids, and other compounds that will eventually contribute to what we taste and smell. But something important has already happened before the coffee ever reaches the roaster. Where the coffee was grown, its variety, altitude, climate, harvesting, and processing have all helped determine its potential. The roaster's job is to take that potential and bring out the best possible flavors. The drying phase. Once those green beans enter the roaster, the transformation begins. Heat starts driving moisture out of the beans. Their temperature rises and their color gradually changes from green toward yellow. This may not sound like the most exciting part of roasting, but it's an important foundation for everything that's about to happen. Because next comes some fascinating chemistry. The Maillard reaction. As the temperature continues to rise, sugars and amino acids inside the coffee begin reacting. This is called the Maillard reaction. You've experienced something similar when bread browns in the oven or when food develops that wonderful browned crust during cooking. In coffee, these reactions contribute to color, aroma, sweetness, body, and flavor complexity. Those wonderful caramel, toasted, nutty, and chocolate like characteristics we associate with some coffees, the Maillard reaction plays an important role in developing them. And now we're approaching one of my favorite parts of the roasting process. First crack. As the beans continue heating, water vapor and gases create pressure inside them. Eventually, the beans begin making an audible cracking sound. Coffee roasters call this first crack. It sounds a little like popcorn popping. First crack generally occurs around 385 degrees Fahrenheit, although the exact temperature reading varies depending on the coffee and roasting equipment. This is a major transition during the roast, and from this point forward, the decisions made by the roaster can have an enormous influence on what eventually ends up in your cup. The development phase. After first crack comes what roasters call the development phase. This is where time, temperature, airflow, and heat application become extremely important. Small changes can make surprisingly large differences. A lighter roast may preserve more brightness, fruitiness, floral notes, and characteristics associated with where the coffee was grown. More development can emphasize sweetness, body, caramelization, and increasingly roasted flavors. And here's something I find particularly interesting. Two coffee roasters can start with beans from the exact same origin, even the same farm, and produce coffees that taste remarkably different. That's the craftsmanship involved in roasting. Second crack. If roasting continues, the beans may eventually reach another audible stage called second crack. At this point, the structure of the bean continues breaking down. Oils may begin migrating toward the surface, and darker roasted characteristics become increasingly dominant. As the roast becomes darker, some of the unique flavors associated with the coffee's origin can become less noticeable. You'll begin getting more of those bold, bittersweet, smoky, and deeply roasted characteristics. But here's something I want you to remember. Darker coffee doesn't automatically mean better coffee, and neither does lighter coffee. They're simply different expressions of the bean. So, which roast is best? If you enjoy bright, fruity, floral coffees, you may prefer a lighter roast. If you enjoy balance, sweetness, caramel, and chocolate characteristics, a medium roast might be your favorite. And if you prefer bold, rich, smoky flavors, you may gravitate toward darker roasts. There's no wrong answer. The best coffee is ultimately the coffee you enjoy drinking. The journey inside every bean. So the next time you pick up a coffee bean, think about everything that's happened before it reached you. Agriculture created its potential. Processing helped shape it. Roasting transformed it. And finally, the way you grind and brew that coffee completes the journey. That's one reason I've remained fascinated by coffee for so many years. There's always something else to learn and another great cup waiting to be discovered. I'm Rick with the Caffeinated Wanderer, where we explore two of my favorite things, coffee and travel. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and join me for more coffee stories, travel experiences, and adventures along the way. And before you leave, I've got a question for you. Light, medium, or dark roast, which one are you? Tell me in the comments. Until next time, grab a good cup of coffee and keep wandering.